I'm from New Jersey in the United States. Yes. Serving under Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, if you've heard of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
Yes, we're here reading Bhagavatam every week, several times every week, under his instruction, so that we might be able to, practice bhakti with purer consciousness. Reading Bhagavatam helps to purify our consciousness, hearing about these leelas and lessons from the devotees discussed in the Bhagavatam. So, we started the stream, so we'll say our Dandavat Pranam to anybody listening. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we're here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also offering our humble obeisances to Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvadikacharya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for very kindly offering us and providing us this commentary on Bhagavatam and this translation, this English translation. Also, we're following the instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who has told, if we do not understand Srimati Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam, then our effort was for a waste. So we're offering our prayers to Srimati Radharani. Yadi Seva Vanchitasyama Yasya Kripaya Vayam Labema Sarvam Prapnuma Prayojanam Damni Shri Bhagavat Pade Krishna Sambandhi Sarvam Cha Yadi Na Jani Mahe Tutam Astadasasu Sahasreshu Shlokanam Bhagavat Oktishu Radharanimna Vindamatada Nisfalam Bhagavat Adhyayanam Radhikaya Kripam Vina Vyarta Syat Sarva Parishrama. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Radharani within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, all our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing from Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Śiva. Yomaya yedam puru rupaya srujad vibharti bhuyaksha payatya vikriya yadveda buddhi sad ivat madustaya tvam atma tantram bhagavan patimahi. My dear Lord, you have manifold energies, and these energies are manifested in manifold forms. With such energies, you have also created this cosmic manifestation, and although you maintain it as if it were permanent, you ultimately annihilate it. Although you are never disturbed by such changes and alterations, the living entities are disturbed by them, and therefore they find the cosmic manifestation to be different or separated from you. My Lord, you are always independent, and I can clearly see this fact. Purport. It is clearly explained that Lord Krishna has multi-energies which can be grouped into three, namely the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. There are also different cosmic manifestations, namely the spiritual world and the material world. as well as different types of living entities. Some living entities are conditioned and others are eternally free. The eternally free living entities are called Nitya Mukta, for they never come in contact with the material energy. However, some living entities are conditioned in this material world, and thus they think themselves separated from the Supreme Lord. Due to their contact with the material energy, their existence is always troublesome. Being always in distress, the conditioned soul considers the material energy to be very much disturbing. This fact is explained by a Vaishnava Kavi, or poet. Krishna Buli Sei Jiva Anhadi Bahir Mukha Ateva Maya Tare Deya Samsara Dukkha. When the living entity forgets the Supreme Lord and wants to enjoy himself independently, imitating the Supreme Lord, he is captured by the false notion that he is the enjoyer and is separated from the Supreme Lord. This material energy is therefore very much troublesome to the spiritual energy, the living entity. But the material energy is never troublesome to the Supreme Lord. Indeed, for the Supreme Lord, both material and spiritual energy are the same. In this verse, Lord Śiva explains that the material energy is never troublesome to the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is always independent, but because the living entities are not independent due to their false idea of becoming independently happy, the material energy is troublesome. Consequently, the material energy creates differentiation. Because the Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand this, they want to be relieved from the material energy. However, because a Vaishnava philosopher is in full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he finds no disturbance even in the material energy. This is because he knows how to utilize the material energy for the service of the Lord. In the government, the criminal department and civil department may appear different in the eyes of the citizens, but in the eyes of the government, both departments are one and the same. The criminal department is troublesome for the criminal, but not for the obedient citizen. Similarly, this material energy is troublesome for the conditioned soul, but it has nothing to do with the liberated souls who are engaged in the service of the Lord. Through the Purusha avatar, Mahavishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead created the whole cosmic manifestation simply by breathing out all the universes. The Lord creates and maintains the cosmic manifestation as Lord Vishnu. Then as Sankarshana, he annihilates the cosmic manifestation. Yet despite the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the cosmos, the Lord is attached, but the Lord is not affected. The various activities of the Lord must be very disturbing to the tiny living entities. But since the Lord is supremely great, he is never affected. Lord Śiva or any other pure devotee can see this clearly without being blinded by Bheda Buddhi or differentiation. For a devotee, the Lord is the supreme spirit soul. Since he is supremely powerful, his various powers are also spiritual. For a devotee, there is nothing material, for material existence only means forgetfulness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 62. Kriya kalapar idam eva yogina Shradhanvita sadhu yajanti siddhaye Bhutendriyanta karanopalakyutam Vedecha tantrecha ta eva kovida. My dear Lord, your universal form consists of all five elements, the senses, mind, intelligence, false ego, which is material, and the Paramatma. Your partial expansion, who is the director of everything, yogis other than the devotees, namely Karma Yogi and Jnana Yogi, worship you by their respective actions in their respective positions. It is stated both in the Vedas and in the Shastras that there are corollaries of the Vedas, and indeed everywhere, that is only you who are to be worshipped. That is the expert version of all the Vedas. Purport. In a previous verse, Lord Śiva wanted to see the form of the Lord, which the devotees are always interested in. There are other forms of the Lord manifest in the material world, including Brahma and other demigods, and these are worshipped by materialistic persons. In the second canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that those who desire material benefits are recommended to worship different types of demigods. And in conclusion, the Bhagavatam recommends Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Bhagavatam 2.3.10. The devotees, the jnanis, who are known as moksha kama, and the karmis, who are known as sarva kama, are all aspiring to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Even when one performs yagyas, as stated here, kriya kalpai, he should always remember that the demigods are but agents of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the worshipful Lord is Vishnu, Yageshvara. Thus, even when different demigods are worshipped in the Vedic and Tantric sacrifices, the actual goal of sacrifice is Lord Vishnu. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 9.23, it is said, Ye pyanya devata bhakta yajante shradhayavanvita te pi mam eva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but is offered without true understanding. Thus the worshippers of various demigods also worship the Supreme Lord, but they do so against the regulative principles. The purpose of the regulative principles is to satisfy Lord Vishnu. In the Vishnu Purana 3.8.9, the same thing is confirmed. Varnashramha charavata purushena parapuman Vishnur aradyate panta nanyatatosha karanam. Here it is clearly mentioned that the karmi, jnani, or yogi, in fact everyone, worships Lord Vishnu if he is actually expert in knowledge of the Vedas and Tantras. The word kovida is very significant, for it indicates the devotees of the Lord. Only the devotees know perfectly that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu is all-pervading. Within the material energy, he is represented by the 5 material elements, as well as the mind, intelligence, and ego. He is also represented by another energy, the living entities, and all these manifestations in the spiritual and material world combined are but representations of the different energies of the Lord. The conclusion is that the Lord is one and that he is expanding in everything. He is expanded in everything. This is understood by the Vedic version, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. One who knows this concentrates all his energy in worshiping Lord Vishnu. Text 63. Tvam ekadhya purusha supta shaktis taya raja sattva tamo vibhidyate mahan aham kamarud agnivardara surarsayo bhuta gana idam yata. My dear Lord, you are the only Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. Before the creation of this material world, your material energy remains in a dormant condition. When your material energy is agitated, the 3 qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, act, and as a result, the total material energy, egotism, ether, air, fire, water, earth, and all the various demigods and saintly persons becomes manifest. Thus the material world is created. Purport. If the whole creation is one, that is nothing but the Supreme Lord, or Vishnu, then why do the expert transcendentalists make such categories as are found in the above verse? Why do learned and expert scholars distinguish between matter and spirit? In answer to these questions, Lord Śiva says that spirit and matter are not creations of various philosophers, but are manifested by Lord Vishnu, as described in this verse, Tvam ekadhya purusha. By the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purusha, spiritual and material categories are made possible by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, there are no such distinctions for the living entities who are eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. There is only a material world for those who want to imitate the Lord and become enjoyers. Indeed, the material world is nothing but forgetfulness of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of everything. The distinction between matter and spirit is created by the sleeping energy of the Lord. And when the Lord wants to give some facility to those living entities who want to imitate the Lord in his enjoyment, it is only for them that this material world is created by the dormant energy of the Lord. For instance, sometimes children want to imitate their mother and cook in the kitchen, and at such a time the mother supplies them with some toys so that the children can imitate her cooking. Similarly, when some of the living entities want to imitate the activities of the Lord, this material cosmic manifestation is created for him, by the Lord. The material creation is therefore caused by the Lord through his material energy. It is by the glance of the Lord that the material energy is activated. At that time, the three material qualities are set into motion, and the material energy is manifested, first in the form of Mahatattva, then egotism, then ether, then air, then fire, water, and earth. After the creation, the living entities are impregnated in the cosmic manifestation, and they emerge as Lord Brahma and the seven great rishis, then as different demigods. From the demigods come human beings, animals, trees, birds, beasts, and everything else. The original cause, however, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as verified herein, Tvam Ekadya Purusha. This is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita. Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. Those who are covered by the material energy cannot understand that the origin of everything is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This is summarized in the Vedanta aphorism Janmadasyata, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2. Krishna also confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mambura bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. When Krishna says that he is the origin of everything, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, he means that he is even the source of Lord Brahma, Lord Śiva, the Purusha avatars, the material manifestation, and all the living entities within the material world. Actually, the word prabhava, creation, refers only to this material world. For instance, the spiritual world is eternally existing. There is no question of creation. In the chapter Shloki of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord says, Aham evasam evagre. Aham evasam evagre. Yes. I was existing in the beginning before the creation. Bhagavatam 2.9.33. In the Vedas, it is also said, Eko Narayana Asit. Before the creation, there was only Narayan. This is also confirmed by Shankaracharya. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Narayan is transcendental to the creation in his Gita Bhasya, in Shankaracharya's Gita Bhasya. Since all the activities of Narayan are spiritual, when Narayan said, let there be creation, that creation was all spiritual. The material only exists for those who have forgotten that Narayan is the original cause. Okay, and thus ends our reading for today. We will continue from text 64 on Friday. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sri Rupanuga, Guru Varga Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhaktiveda Vrinda Ki Jai, Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nrsimhapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan, Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shyam Kund Radhakund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari 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 Bol. Ashish ji, it was nice to meet you and your son today. Hare Krishna.
Same here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I hope to see you again.
Hare Krishna bolo.
Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hari Bol.